Okay, recording this video after close of trade Thursday the 18th of November 2010. We ended up 20 points today, about 1.7 million contracts traded, and it was a gap up day. You can see on Monday I was saying that we might have a bottom being formed on Tuesday and some testing Wednesday, and then going for a little bit of a rally Thursday, Friday, so that seems to be playing out. I must admit the damage that was done in terms of price on the downside did surprise me, but let me just recap that on my charts. Anyway, so in terms of the daily chart, we had a kind of exhaustion buying up day, kind of climactic buying up day, so that's why it's kind of painted red here on better volume. So we're closing just under 1200. Just revisiting the better X trend chart, I've not had this up for weeks and weeks, and you know, according to the better X trend, which is a volume based trailing stop, this was the start of the move down at 1040 down here so many weeks ago, and it's only now after today's activity that we can trail this stop up. And I know, you know, back during this kind of activity on the market, I was talking about how this trend would not be over until we kind of trailed a stop up in order to break that stop. Well, finally, all these weeks later, this is the stop being trailed up, and it's sitting at 73.50 at the moment. So you know, that's kind of an important level, and that shows an important kind of activity at the moment. We've had this psychologically really important high kind of driven in at the about 1225 level in the market, and now down here at 1175, this type level here is this channel. The break of the channel on the downside will you know, after a test to the highs, will result in a downtrend, the start of a downtrend. The next important place is starting to test, you know, the highs on the way up. So obviously the 1225 type level is kind of key. But let me just show you the better the better trend line indicator here, just showing the last couple of trend lines that we have painted here. We kind of been in an uptrend on the daily chart for, again, since the beginning of September, and you can see we went into a little consolidation here with a pop above the trend line, then we came back to break below it, and we're now in this kind of inverted type situation here. This trend line is really important because we could well see this being hit, and we kind of kiss this little trend line and kind of drop if the downtrend, you know, is really in place here. And this level is about 1210 on the E-mini, so kind of we're just sitting under 1200 at the moment. You know, if we get a little bit of travel, remember we've got kind of Thanksgiving coming up. Psychologically, coming into holiday seasons, the market tends to be bullish, so I could see us kind of traveling into this zone, into the 1210, 1220, 25 type zone over the next few days, and then deciding whether, you know, it's all over, Red Rover. Then lastly, just looking at tick charts, and I just want to revisit what I was saying on Monday. On Monday I was saying I could see bottoms being formed in a number of markets, the E-mini, the Euro, and the bond market, and you can kind of revisit that on the video from Monday. What I saw is a pullback in a downtrend on Monday's activity. So this is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday's activity here on the 40,500 tip bar chart, the highest tip frame chart. And you could see at the highs of that day, the professionals were definitely active at this cyclical turning point, taking profits. And then we'd seen the day before, we'd seen them kind of active at the lows here at about 1190, 1195, where they were starting to kind of get back interested in buying. And I saw these couple of blue down bars, professional down bars, signaling that they were maybe kind of getting interested in going long towards the end of the day. In retrospect, I think probably what was happening is, I've put this trend line here, I think this was more like a kind of a falling through the ice type activity. I think the professionals really were getting short at the end of that day. So this whole move was a series of taking profits at the high and then getting short coming through that move. I usually like to see these kind of blue professional bars kind of coming in at the lows after a number of green bars like this. You can see here we kind of came into some professional activity, kind of moved around that level for a fair number of days, came back in here. There were definitely, you know, we had green bars prior to the blue professional bars, and then we kind of reacted off there. You know, here we only had one little green bar in between this this kind of activity, and that really signals to me that this is one kind of continuous move where the professionals were kind of getting short on this up move and then probably continuing to short into the close, and that's why we kind of dropped through. Although, I must admit the news was pretty extreme over the last couple of days with Ireland, and the feeling that it was going to default or whatever, and then the bailout kind of comes in and so on. So this whole kind of psychologically, the activity that's been happening over the last couple of days has really been extreme selling and bearish kind of bias here, and then kind of almost irrational exuberance on the upside, as if there's no kind of problems in Europe at all. But what we can see here is over the last couple of days, so professionals coming back in at the lows here at 1175, so we kind of test. We've had our exhaustion selling on the downside here with these couple of extreme selling that we had on Tuesday. Really, a lot of price damage done down to the 1170 type level. And then yesterday was a classic little day where we just tested here, and we had this beautiful flush signal at the end of the day. And you could see that activity in the during the day session on the Wednesday, in the latter part of the day. Extreme kind of selling on the downside as all professionals. Wasn't a lot of price damage kind of done. In terms of selling volume, it was big, but it wasn't as big as what we'd seen on the prior day. And that's where you got this classic little flush signal here. Professionals active at the lows, and then we kind of take off in the after hours from then. It's like this was the buying zone down here between 1170 and 1180, and as soon as we kind of broke above there, the uptrend was on its way. So we've now broken above a cyclical kind of resistance level here, tested back down with a professional down bar at the end of the day here back into 93, and I think we're going to kind of continue this rally for a couple of days yet. And again, just talking about cycles and holidays and so on, again, we tend to be bullish into holidays, looking into Thanksgiving kind of next week. So but watch out, these kind of levels at 1210 is going to be critical, and then between 1210 and until 1225, if we kind of get up into that zone, the professional sellers could well kind of step back in and say time to get short. So just looking at another couple of markets in terms of tick bar charts. Euro chart, I was saying on Monday, so Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday's activity here. I couldn't see we had a little professional activity here in a cyclical low, kind of all these bullish divergence patterns, but we hadn't seen the extreme kind of selling. And I was saying I wasn't sure whether we were going to get a rally and then kind of dive down, or we were going to dive down straight away. Well, this is what actually happened, and this was the news about Ireland and the bailout, maybe on and off kind of news here. That forced us into kind of a selling activity. Didn't actually end up being any kind of signal here on better momentum. It was pretty, pretty large in terms of the selling activity that was going on here, but wasn't as much as what we'd seen at the beginning of this move. And so we've kind of rallied from there. But we've got some professional selling coming into this kind of 36.5 type level at the end of today. So I suppose I would have liked to have seen an exhaustion selling signal on the euro. But we got some of that those type signals in bonds and gold, and I don't normally show the gold chart, but here it is. This is kind of a high time frame tick bar chart for gold, and you can see Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday's activity here came into. Look at all this professional buying going on down here at 1340, coming into these lows. It's an end of trend warning signal. We just kind of overshoot a little bit. We've had our exhaustion selling a couple of days before, and this was everybody's kind of panicking out of gold. We'd had our exhaustion selling, and this was a flush signal day. Two flush signals as we're coming into these lows, and then Wednesday's activity very neutral in terms of buying and selling activity, just testing those lows. No one's willing to kind of take it all very much kind of much further to the downside, and we start to rally from there. So gold's starting to rally because the dollar is starting to weaken, and the euro and the other currencies are starting to strengthen. So all those kind of changes are happening. And then this is bonds. So we've had a huge kind of move in the bond market, and so Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday's activity here. Monday's activity, I talked to this chart on Monday's video. Look at all these professional blue bars down at the bottom. Beautiful little Rambo pattern right down there at a flush signal. So finally flushing out all those sellers at that point. We come back to test cyclical support area. Again, another professional down bar here with a bullish divergence. We jump a little bit too much, too fast initially here, and this is kind of classic. Professionals say let's just kind of take it down one more time to kind of load up again. You can see them loading up at the end of the day here. Very neutral in terms of buying and selling activity here. We've had our bullish divergence and so on, so I could well see the bond market starting to rally from here, and interest rates kind of coming down. For a few days, as I'm talking about all of this, that we're now caught. If I go back to this chart, we're caught between these levels up here and this low here. We've rallied back into the zone, this kind of sell zone, if you like. And so the question is, how much further can we get up here? Can we break above it? Can we just overshoot and retrace again, or so on? So, that's the question that we need to answer over the next few days. But some nice activity over between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays in terms of reversals and so on. So, hope your trading is going well.